country.
Tom Tellis from North Carolina. A lot of my colleagues have covered the tragedy here. Can you imagine how any president or vice president, given the facts that we presented here, and these are facts, ladies and gentlemen, you can go out to our websites, and I hope that you will, and share this information with the American people. 2-year-old and 3-year-old children sitting alone at a bench unaccompanied. They called them playpens, but they were actually holding areas for little babies. I've got pictures. My colleagues have pictures. Go out there, report to the American people, and maybe the president will take notice. And the next time Vice President Harris is asked if she's coming to the border, instead of laughing and saying, "Not today," get down here, get informed, and recognize you've got a crisis and it's on you to fix it. And we stand ready to help.
Okay. Yes, and I will say it was rather striking when the White House press secretary claimed Republicans have no solutions, because we have been talking specific solutions from the very beginning. This was caused by 3 decisions Joe Biden and Kamala Harris made on the very first day in office. Number 1, they immediately halted construction of the border wall. How do you turn this around? Reverse that decision. Resume construction of the border wall. By the way, we're paying people not to build the border wall with taxpayer funds. That's one concrete step. A second concrete step, on day 1, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris reinstituted the failed policy of catch and release. What should they do? Reverse that policy. End catch and release, because it causes this crisis. And the third policy, the most concrete policy, on the first day in office, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris ended the incredibly successful Remain in Mexico agreement. What was Remain in Mexico? It was an agreement that President Trump negotiated with the government of Mexico, that the government of Mexico agreed that anyone who crossed illegally into Mexico would remain in Mexico while their U.S. asylum case was proceeding. And Remain in Mexico was incredibly successful. So much so that last year, illegal immigration fell to the lowest rate of illegal immigration in 45 years. When the White House says they can't fix this problem, they are not telling you the truth, because the problem was largely fixed last year. And they broke it. They broke it because on day 1, Joe Biden ripped up that international agreement. A federal court has now ruled that ripping up that international agreement was illegal. The Biden administration is under an order from a federal court to return to that agreement, and they are slow walking. I've talked to Border Patrol officials who have said that the Biden DHS is slow walking compliance with that order. They could implement it today, but they're defying a federal judge because, sadly, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have handed control of the agenda on immigration over to the radical open borders extreme left. You know, when I was down in South Texas a couple of weeks ago, I did roundtables with farmers and ranchers, but also with Border Patrol agents, with sheriffs, with law enforcement, with local elected officials. Most of the elected officials in South Texas are Democrats. South Texas has been historically a very Democratic part of the state. Almost to a person, the elected officials I spoke with in South Texas, the Democrats said, you know, if the Democratic Party nationally is the party of open borders, I can't support that. I can't stand with that. And I will note McAllen, which has been a bright blue Democratic bastion for a long time, just elected a Republican mayor. Because the people who are seeing firsthand the tragedies, the little girls and little boys who are being sexually abused by the traffickers, the drugs that are flowing over, the bodies that are left, the people that are left to die in the desert heat, this is unconscionable, and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris caused it. The way to fix it is reverse the political decisions they made on January 20th of this year. They could do it and fix it. It is only partisan politics that prevents them from doing so.
Yep, I think that's good.
All right, thank you, guys.
The time I have left to a couple of other things. Are you familiar with the name Robin Pachero?
I am not.
Okay, Pascal Gaspar Andres.
I am not.
Or Gaspar Andres. Or Juan Carlos Morales Pedraza. These are just a few of the criminal illegal immigrants who have been charged with a convicted crime against American citizens since Joe Biden took office. This has happened on your watch. Pacheco was charged with a hit and run. It left a father of 2 dead. The Andres were charged with stabbing a man to death. Juan Carlos Morales Pedraza he pled guilty to coercing a minor to engage in sex. So this administration's radical immigration policies are endangering Americans and costing some of them their lives. Does the Biden administration have any plans to issue million-dollar payments to the families of those who were killed or assaulted by illegal aliens?
Senator, in 2020, there were individuals who crossed illegally into the United States.
These are all on your watch.
And committed crimes.
These are all on your watch.
Is it your position that the prior administration bears responsibility for that?
I'm asking the questions, and these are all on your watch. The Build Back Better plan supports giving green cards to illegal aliens. There are many advocates out there that are trying to make certain that gets shoved into the Build Back Better. I call it the Build Back Broke. Do you support giving green cards to illegal immigrants that have entered this country? Yes or no?
Senator, I believe in immigration reform and legislation that provides a path to citizenship to those who meet certain criteria.
So you would support illegal immigrants having a path to citizenship and getting a green card when we have Americans that are out of work. Let me ask you this, yes or no? Have you ever visited the White House?
Have I visited the White House?
Yes. Have you ever visited the White House?
Yes.
So you're aware there is a fence around the entire perimeter of the White House to prevent unauthorized individuals from entering the White House, correct?
Yes.
And U.S. taxpayers are also funding a $500,000 fence around President Biden's Rehoboth Beach house, correct?
I'm not aware.
And your department is overseeing this construction. You should be aware of that. President Biden obviously likes walls when they protect him. So can you explain to me why a wall is effective and necessary at the White House and the Biden Beach House, but is not necessary at the southern border?
Yes, I can. May I have that opportunity?
It's up to the chairman. My time has expired.
You may complete the answer to the question.
There are thousands of miles along the southern border, and I agree with what then Senator McCain presented, which was there are different solutions for the border because of its tremendous expanse, the great diversity in the terrain that it must cover, and therefore the key to border security is fundamentally advanced technology. That is the most effective means, because we're not going to construct a border wall on the ragged and jagged cliffs in certain parts of the border. And if I may, respectfully, Mr. Chairman, because I did not have a chance to answer any of the other questions, let me just respectfully submit that I disagree with almost everything that was articulated in the questions posed to me that I did not have a chance to respond to.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Senator Padilla.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Number of questions. Mr. Secretary, thank you for being here. But first, I wanted to...
It's about 11:14 at night. I'm James Langford. Want to be able to give you a quick update. I'm in McAllen, Texas, literally right at the Texas-Mexico border. This is one of the underground processing areas that has been set up literally under a bridge. This is a bridge that moves from Mexico into the United States. This is where families are actually coming and unaccompanied minors will just show up here during the night. And like I said, it's about 11:14 at night right now. They'll show up. I'll kind of turn around here so you can see it. That far end down there, the bright spot, that's Mexico right down there. They'll show up down in that spot. They'll be able to walk through. They're picked up by Border Patrol here. They're organized. They get their name, their information. They'll go through a very basic screening where basically they're asked, do you feel well, kind of thing, with a basic screening. They'll get their name and information. If they have a child that's 6 years old or younger, or they're unaccompanied minor, but they can have like 10 people together that all say they're family, and if they have one child that's 5 or 6 years old, then all these folks will be released tonight into McAllen, Texas. Literally within a couple of hours from when they walk up from Mexico, they'll go through the basic processing here, and all these folks will be released into the United States tonight with what's called a notice to appear. It's a piece of paperwork saying you've got to show up at a court hearing. Some of those court hearings are 3 years later. So literally they're into the country for the next 3 years. So they'll walk up way down there. They'll come through some basic processing here, and you can see, I don't know how many are here right now. And then there's buses here at the end, and those buses will take them into the central part of McAllen, Texas, and they'll just be released at a bus station from there, and they can go anywhere in the country that they want to be able to go with that update. This is the problem. This is one of the areas that the media is not allowed to be able to come into. That's why I wanted to be able to be here, to be able to see it and say, this is the thing that Biden does not want you to see, is that literally people walk across the border, they check in here, and they are all released. 100% of the people that are here tonight will be released. So this is absolutely an open border situation. Anyone who wants to come in from any country in the world, if you walk onto this bridge here in McAllen, Texas, on the Mexico side of it and get here, and you pay the cartels to actually come up to this area. So the cartels make you pay a fee to be able to come here on the Mexico side. Then they come in here and they're all released. So no matter what your background is, no matter who you are, if you come through this spot right here, you're going to be released. This is what open borders really looks like, and this is why this is a problem, and it's why I wanted to be able to be here tonight. We're going to spend the rest of the evening trying to be able to track what's happening in this area, and so people can get a chance to be able to see actually what's happening in this area, what the Biden team will not allow people to be able to see.
So the reason we're driving down this road right now is that we're getting closer to the river, right? The parents are paying the smugglers to have their children smuggled. Thus, the cartels will smuggle the children up to the riverbanks. They'll walk up the riverbanks and they'll come into Border Patrol custody. After they come into Border Patrol custody, we'll give them to HHS, Health and Human Services. Health and Human Services will now contact the parents that originally paid to have the children smuggled, and HHS will tell the parents, here are your kids. So essentially, we facilitated the smuggling of these children. We completed that smuggling cycle.
Yep, we're the last mile delivery.
So last week, these are the two unaccompanied children that I ran into. 8-year-olds and 5-year-old by themselves, right in this road.
So here we go. Walking. There you go. These guys are having a field day. They're making $14 million a day in human trafficking and making probably multiple times that in illicit drugs. The river is right to our right side, to our right-hand side. And I think what they wanted to do was to see if we would encounter other groups walking along this route. Well, we're down along the river, Rio Grande, and there are groups coming across the border. We just saw under the bridge where they actually detained them, but we've seen groups come up the road here. They've crossed the river and they're coming into the country.
It's a very dangerous trip. A lot of these particularly children are coming from other countries, being exploited by traffickers, and just a really tragic situation which cries out for a solution.
Watch out for the branches.
Be very careful, too. I will. There we go. There you go. Thank you. Those are the signs that the children that come by themselves have to follow, or the family unit. It's horrible. It's horrible.
I just cannot imagine putting a child on this journey. I just can't imagine.
It's horrible.
I saw a 2-year-old last night being held by a complete stranger, brought over by a stranger.
Horrible.
This is a route that people take to come to turn themselves in. This path is marked so that people will know where to go to find a detention facility. They're not trying to avoid detection, they're trying to get caught. There's a loophole in our law that incentivizes people to bring 6-year-old children with them because the Biden administration has changed the law so if you got a 6-year-old you can't be deported.
There are literally signs on the ground pointing these migrants in the direction to the Border Patrol agents because they're not running away from the Border Patrol, they're running to the Border Patrol because they know that Joe Biden's policies enable them to stay in this country even when they have no legal right to stay in this country. We may be facing very soon 250,000 migrants crossing our border every month.
All right, so if we can get as many people down as we can, so we've got a bunch of smugglers that are talking to us right now.
So there was another light right here, and that's smugglers that were bringing down routes.
Hey, so real quick, this is.
You hear them? Those are the smugglers getting ready to bring their people over.
So they really tell you, hey, we're coming?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because they know what's going to happen. We're going to take them away. And they'll sit here and make fun of us. They'll laugh at us.
Well, I don't blame them.
Yeah. So the smugglers are on the other side. They're waving flashlights and they're talking. We can hear them.
No, but you can see the flashlight here, and we can hear them talking. Matter of fact, we could even yell back and forth at them.
They're saying, Viva Biden.
We're on the edge of the Rio Grande. Right across is Mexico. The lights you see there are smugglers bringing in families and children. They know the law. They know the change in President Biden's policies. They know that if the child is 6 years old or younger, they will be released into the United States. And you're not going to stop this as long as we practice catch and release.
What we're hearing over there, according to our Border Patrol experts, those are cartel members who are actually shouting. So they're getting ready to smuggle some more folks across.
They are right there.
And they can see the flashlights over there. But the voices we're hearing are likely cartel members here. They're getting paid thousands of dollars per person to bring across the Rio Grande. We're on the trails that the illegals will come up. And I passed probably about 20 yards back there, a yellow arrow. They literally have stopped building the wall. Instead now are putting arrows down to direct where the illegals go so they can be apprehended and processed. It's absolutely crazy.
You can read about this, you can see it on the news, but being on the ground here, seeing it, seeing the people, talking to talking to our heroic Border Patrol agents, that's the way you learn. So, Mr. President, Madam Vice President, you need to get down here.
This has been truly extraordinary. It's midnight. We're on the banks of the Rio Grande, and across the river, we can hear the sounds of cartel members taunting us, yelling at us. They're exploiting vulnerable women and children. They are smuggling drugs into this country. This system is inhumane. It's dangerous.
We need to figure out how to address this, and we need to do it now.
Just a really tragic situation. A great reminder that we've got a broken immigration policy and that the changes that have been made by the Biden administration are contributing mightily to a lot of the challenges that these Border Patrol personnel are facing.
Control of the border is the federal government's responsibility, and local landowners, business owners, and others basically are stuck with the policies passed in Washington, D.C. And right now, what they're telling us is those policies are not working. They're being exploited by the human smugglers who make a lot of money by the head of people that make their way into the country.
It's a humanitarian crisis, and frankly, this all could have been avoided